Hey, welcome to Real Talk, episode 135. I'm Todd, this is AJ, and we're back.
We're back once again, and we are here to do a show. What show am I talking about? It's Real Talk, your favorite podcast, and this is Todd, and I'm AJ, and I'm still going because I don't know how to stop.
And we've lost all our viewers. Hey, so, behind the camera, we've got the man, the myth, the legend himself, Funtern Clint. I just want to make sure everyone knows that.
Oh, yeah, I'm right here.
Oh, Saturday night.
Saturday night.
So, if you're new to Real Talk, boy, you're in for a possible treat. Real Talk is what? Hey, we're just a show with some guys talking about life, God, the Bible, and everything in between. We don't pretend to be experts. We certainly aren't perfect, but we are one thing. We love Jesus Christ. We believe that everything he said and did is real and true.
Amen.
And we believe that he is the only way to have life and to have the fulfillment and peace you're looking for. You know, sometimes we sort of forget that. How does that affect you, Todd? Why do we care? I mean, affect us. I'm speaking as you. We also are a platform for you to have an opportunity to ask questions about life, God, the Bible, maybe even things going on in this world, and how we filter that through the truth of the Bible. Listen, if you're a non-believer, this is a safe place to come and ask those questions, even the tough questions that stump the Christians. As long as you're open to truth, we're open to answering them, the questions. Also, if you're a believer, a Christian, this is a place for you to ask questions that you're kind of uncomfortable, maybe embarrassed to ask. Sometimes that's sexual questions and what that looks like within, God's design.
That's right.
Marriage, relationships, politics. We're going to keep rolling, and we're going to talk about those things and not let the world make us afraid to do that. That's it. That's the gist of it. I'm sure some of you that are here just to pick a fight, well, they've come to the right place. And
lassie.
And if you're not sure why you're all girls, and he said lassie, but if you're here for there's my southern. If you're here to just learn and have some fun, then welcome. Actually, you're welcome either way.
Nice.
So, that's it. I have a broken hand or wrist. That's just a little.
It's a good way to start things off about our lives. You're right.
Yeah. Flag football, man. I feel like, unfortunately, we really... No, I didn't hit anyone or get hit. Based, remember last week.
That's right.
This was a crazy kind of fluke thing. But I brought it up because a couple of our staff people on the way up, I was kind of saying, hey, I got to rush out of here because I got to go to a doctor appointment today to see... They want to do x-ray, all that.
That's right.
And she's like, oh, yeah, I could tell because your bands aren't loose. And I go, oh, my good gosh. Because I had noticed they're not moving. So they're disgusting hand here.
Yeah,
that's
man.
it.
You should give the crowd a comparison here.
Let's see if they probably can't tell from here. Podcast, folks, I'll tell you in a second. It's weird because the pain is primarily in my wrist, but the swelling is in the top of my hand.
Oh, man, it's so weird.
What do I think? My guess is I have a fracture down here, and the swelling is coming up here. That's my assumption. Oh, yeah, I suppose if you're on podcast, you know what that means. Sort of in my palm area. There's a fracture in there somewhere, and I believe I sprained my wrist as well because I hammered that ground.
You did, man. It was.
Yeah,
I was worried.
Yeah, and I think was I jumping back? I just kind of
you kind of went. I don't know if I would call it trip. It was like an intentional kind of fall backwards.
Yeah, I was trying to catch a ball. Yeah, that was out of play. But anyway, that's it. That's my life. So pray for that. Appreciate it. I'm sure we'll have an update.
Broken wrist. That's like the way you started that. It was funny, man.
You just did something unintentional today.
What did I do?
You are literally repping and rocking the merch here.
That's right.
So
man.
If you're listening from the podcast,
I love your shirt.
I know a lot of Christians. Like I said, we're not conservative enough for the conservative Christians, and we're certainly not liberal enough for the liberal Christians. P.S. Don't even think those things exist.
Right.
It should just be a Bible. And there's some. I guess it depends on what you attach liberal and conservative to. That being said, some people might be, I can't believe that you're making the house of the Lord a den of thieves and selling things. No, it's a shirt.
Yep.
It's got a tagline, and it means something, right? We wear other things with Nike and stuff. So
that's right, man.
He's got a shirt on that says "Chosen by Grace." That's sort of our, I don't know, I guess tagline, right? Yeah. The remnant chosen by grace, because God, saves us and chooses us by His grace. And anyway, shirt looks sharp, man.
Thank
you. Guys are interested in that? Shoot us a message, and maybe we'll start putting that link on because we have a lot of different little things.
Oh yeah, man.
Clothes coming out and that doesn't even actually say our church on it. It just,
that's right.
Hey, you're chosen by grace, and as a believer, that's what you are.
Amen, dude. And honestly, it's high quality clothing. Guys.
It really is.
It's really high quality.
Yeah, we have sweatshirts too. I think the sweatshirt version looks awesome.
Oh yeah,
Of that
the
one
sweatshirt is
particularly.
cool. I wish I honestly would have ordered a hoodie version of this
There,
too.
yeah, there's even Chosen by Grace leggings, Chosen by Grace shorts, which are sick.
Oh yeah.
And I'm upset I didn't get any. I didn't order any. Hat. Funtern's got one of our really cool hats on.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
that is branded with our kind of logo or whatever. But you know, proceeds clearly go into the ministry.
Absolutely, man.
And those who are leery say, "Well, you richies are taking up." I mean, clearly, look at us. We aren't. We aren't rich. I have a broken hand. So, you think rich people get broken bones?
That's a quote.
Kidding, they do, but you know,
That's a quote.
I wouldn't have had to wait to get an X-ray. I'll tell you that. If I was rich, right?
I'm not
My
rich.
personal physician.
How about Rich? Have a broken hand. Todd Bland.
Anyway, we're gonna have a quick, fast-paced show for you today. So, AJ, you want to quickly update us anything on your life?
Yeah, man. You know, if you guys have been listening for the past, 3 or 4 weeks, just kind of been on this journey of, what is life? What am I doing? Who am I? That's a question that's kind of been brought up lately. Is who am I? I've kind of wrestled with the idea of, even before I was saved, I had this part of me that I could hold on to. That was part of my identity as being, being a guy that was not selfish, that was always looking out for others' well-being, and though some of that might be true, when faced with the idea that, that is not always true, it's really hit me hard. And because I've kind of had that identity in me even before I was a Christian, it's kind of rubbing up against that. And it's been a hard journey so far, man, of trying to like let that go and accept the fact that just because, I have those parts inside of me where I am selfish and I am, I do look after myself. That doesn't mean I'm bad. It doesn't mean that my heart is all bad, that that the good I do isn't good, So trying to accept that and accept, hey, just because one thing is bad doesn't mean it's all bad, and that's hard for me. So because I'm if you guys have known me, I tend to be I go on the extremes, and I'm trying not to do that. So, I'm either 0 or 100, and there's no in between a lot of the time. And that's hard because then it's either all good or all bad. And that can be exhausting, trying to, especially when you're trying to live it out as a Christian and trying to, live like Jesus and follow him. It's easier to mentally recognize, like, hey, I know that Jesus saved me. I know that his death was all sufficient and covered all my sins. I can recognize that, mentally. But then when you actually try to put it into practice, you still kind of, at least for me, I tend to kind of almost play this like game of like, I have to look perfect. I have to seem like I have no issues, nothing's wrong with me, So, I don't know, man. It's definitely been one of those things where I've been trying to dial back and really think like, okay, where am I really at? And so it's been good, man. A lot of it has to do with the fact that I have also not been willing to accept that, like, you're just lazy sometimes. Like, you just got to get up and get going, and like that's also hard to accept because, a lot of the time it's that 0 and 100 mentality, right? Like, sometimes I go, hey, if people are saying I'm doing a good job, that's awesome. I'm doing great. And if they, and then if you do one thing that could be better, it's like, it all goes back down to 0. And like, it's just weird, man. So I just got to do better at like finding that in between. And I guess the theme for it all is, if you're doing good, it doesn't mean that it's all bad because one bad thing happens. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty cool, man.
Yeah. So
seems like you're a lot of stuff here. You're learning a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and it's funny because, I remember I had a conversation with somebody a long time ago, and I remember walking away from it and saying, man, like, they're just so into, like, these super, like, deep, crazy concepts of God and, and Jesus that they're forgetting to ask themselves the question, like, are you even able to do the basics? Are you even laying the foundation down for your faith every day? And I'm like, I almost feel like that's where I'm at again. I'm going, are you even laying down the foundation of your faith? And I'm like, dang, no, I'm not. And that's why I've been on such a crazy roller coaster. And so, now it's that part of, we talked about the Kairos moment. We put up that graphic a couple weeks ago. have part of that circle where you can either choose to keep hitting that circle, or you can ride it out and keep going, and you can actually grow and change. And I don't know, man. I want to change, dude. You know, I'm tired of the same stuff. You know, tired of being that. You know, I'm tired of acting like that person I'm not. So, yeah.
Pretty exciting, man. The cool part is as you change, is that God's view of you has never changed. It's been steady. So even as you process that and you need to grow, that's the beauty of grace. You know, it's not freedom to sin; it's freedom from sin, and it's freedom from the fear of punishment or being cast away as we grow up. You know, to become more like Him. And I think a lot of times that confuses people. You know, because they don't understand that. Well, how is that possible? You know, how can you live in grace and not say you're justifying sin? And yours are not, you know, necessarily outward sin issues, but you know the Spirit's working on you. And I think what's cool and what people don't understand is that that's happening because God is still working on us and teaching us, and that's happening to you regardless of whether or not you live in fear. You know what I'm saying? Some of this may seem like
it's beautiful, man. It's so beautiful because it's like what you said for so long, man. It's the idea of like his hand's never gone, man. He's always there, and like it's beautiful. It reminds me of a song that really moved me before I was a believer. And the lyric was, you know, you never give up on me. You never stop letting me know that you're right there beside me. You never give up. And it's just like, man, he was right. You know, it's that reckless love that we talk about. You know, He's willing to go through any pain, any suffering, you know, any disappointment to love His children, and it's unbelievable. So, I don't know, man. Just that, yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm in a place of like, you know, it's time to just, you know, it's time to move again. You know, I felt like I had made some big changes and some big strides back when I first got saved, and I just kind of settled into this, you know, this complacency of like, you know, hey, this is just what it is, instead of like pushing for more, you know, and I'm capable of so much more, and God has so much more in store for me, and I think that's why He's put me where I am. So, you know, it's either move or don't, and I want to move.
It's exciting, man. You have any thoughts on that, Funtern, before we move on?
Just keep pushing. I think at the end of the day, we get in this mindset of like, we have to change, we have to be better, we have to be better, we have to be better, and then we don't allow ourselves enough room to realize that yes, we have to still be better, and don't use this as an excuse, but you're not going to get better overnight. You're not going to snap your fingers and be perfect. That's not going to happen. I hate to say that, but that's not going to happen. It is a journey, and that doesn't mean you get to just stand where you are. That doesn't mean that. You don't get to stay in the Kairos moment. You don't get to just stand there. For everybody out there, you don't get to just stand there. But a journey, think about the hero's journey. Throughout all of epics, things like this, all that literature you read when you were in high school, the hero's journey. The hero isn't a hero necessarily at the beginning. They may be a good person, but the hero's journey goes through trial and tribulation, and they grow through hardships and all these things. Well, that's the journey when we go through different things with Christ, and He's pushing us. And at the end of the day, when we accept that, when you realize that you're being pushed, and Todd puts it really well, He's knocking the mud off. He's taken, like, have you seen those old like sculptures made out of those stones? Like, if you've ever seen one be made, like, Todd had a great sermon where he talks about that, where he's chiseling you out and he's making you look like that. And it's amazing. You all should go check it out. But that is what you have to realize, that we are being chiseled. The mud's being knocked away. We're on a journey to be better, to grow, all of these things. Because the hero wasn't just made overnight. So it's the same way with your journey. You're not going to be made that way overnight. So you just keep moving through the journey.
Exciting, dude. Love it. Well,
how about you, my friend? Besides having a broken hand,
that's really it.
he goes
trying to, which isn't bad, man. Just walking it out.
Yeah, man. There's a lot of beauty in watching people, like, in their lives, you know, and like there's just a lot of beauty in your life.
Oh, that's really kind
whether
of
you
you.
see it or not.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I see it in the small things.
Your swollen hand is still on your body.
Yeah, man. I just see it in the small things, man. And it's so cool to watch. So I appreciate you.
Well, thanks, dude. I appreciate you guys always being there to process things with, and I don't know. It's life is interesting, man.
Mm-hmm. Some might say life is a highway.
Hey, let's ride it all night long. You know. All right. Well, hey, we're gonna dive right in here. We got some questions. We got some articles.
All right.
We gonna keep rocking and rolling. Look at me, huh? AJ, I think you, my friend, have the first question of the day. Unless
right.
you'd like me to go. Wait, I'll go.
Okay.
This seems to be probably in relation to episode, was it 133, train wreck? Was that
Yep,
train
that
wreck?
was 133.
Which was a train wreck, and we kind of really got real with you guys. Well, here's the
pretty
question.
cool.
This is relation to that.
Okay.
First time listener, not a question, but a comment. You seemed lost because your show has changed over time. 1, everything changes. It's how we deal with change. That's the measure of our growth. 2, venting is incredibly helpful. To be able to say things out loud to people that we trust is one way that we can release the junk. Also, in this world of online posting anonymously, we have avoided accountability. And 3, it helps us to realize that we're not alone in our issues. And then visit a Celebrate Recovery near you! !
I love. This is good stuff, man. This is great.
Celebrate Recovery, by the way, is a 12-step program, kind of like AA, but
Yeah.
Christian, that also, not just with alcohol, though it can, addictions, but also trauma, heartache, all that kind of stuff.
Yes,
Free ad there, Celebrate Recovery.
That's right.
I have heard a lot of
and
good
you know
things
what?
about it.
It's a great program.
Yeah.
The reason why it makes me laugh is because they throw it in at the end, and it makes me think like this guy's on drugs.
Or like we definitely are, we're broken.
That's
We're
right.
terribly broken.
Oh man, that's so funny. But yeah, you know, I guess just to kind of go off of their comment, like, you know, it can be hard. You know, it's so good to have you guys because if it weren't for you guys, I wouldn't be nearly as far, if at all, you know, closer to God and to Jesus and who I really am. If it wasn't for you guys pushing me and helping me and having those conversations like that are hard and like, you know, and not everybody can handle that stuff. And it's just, I don't know, man, there's a lot that goes into that. And I think one of the challenges for doing a show like this is, like they said, like the venting part, for example, you know, because when you start to vent, you know, you're just getting your thoughts out there, right? And you even said it in the comment, it's to people who you can trust. So when you do a show like this where we try to keep it as raw as possible, it is hard because if you want to vent about something, you can't really fully vent because, yes, I'm in a room right now with people I trust, but we're also in front of a camera.
That's really good.
That is also going to be showing, you know, this is shown to the literal world. Anybody can find this information. So, you know, it's hard because you kind of can't fully let yourself go, if that makes sense. You know, and again, that's not even me saying like, oh, I'm playing a character. That's one of my fears, but you know, you can't really fully let go of that because there is a responsibility of doing something like this. Of not, you know, you can't just say whatever you want as far as like, you know, this whole venting that you brought up. Like, you can't just go full bore into it. And honestly, that's not even because of the fact that I can't. It's more out of the respect of people or the respect of situations or, you know, whatever it may be. As far as, you know, seeming lost because of the change of the show, yeah, you know, it can, you know, when you're doing a show for as long as we have, you know, it's been over 2 years, I believe. And, you know, we've went through different sides of the show, different sections of it, man. And like, you know, we've went through, you know, first starting with just questions, you know, and then we started adding more about our personal lives. Then we decided to go do a live show for a while. And, you know, yeah, it's something that's constantly changing and it's cool. You know, and then we started bringing topics along and articles and all this, you know, introducing new things. And so to seem lost, that might be fair. I think there was a point in time where I definitely was lost. I think it was, you know, and then if you're lost in something, you can kind of forget the heart behind it because you're still trying to figure out what it is. And yeah, I think that's a fair statement to say. But I'm glad because I also feel like in the midst of being lost, man, I've been found, and it's cool. In the sense of, you know, Christ, and even in the sense of the show, you know, because I feel a deeper, you know, fire, for lack of a better term, for the show again. You know, we're gonna go. You know, we want to. You know, for lack of a better term, punch you guys in the gut with truth, whether that's from questions you're asking or from articles we're giving you that you guys can look into yourselves. This is going to be, a show that is now less about being, being careful. It's more about just truth. And that's what we wanted it to be anyway. So we're back.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. And I think a great point about, sometimes venting and not knowing where the line of like, we want to be real, but also understanding that, sometimes someone's tuning in and the only AJ, Todd, and Funtern Clint they're getting is what they see that day. Which could be a different picture than when you take the overall. So, for instance, if that was a bad day for us, for instance, where we're struggling, and that's all then you're like, oh my goodness, these guys are out of control.
Yes.
So, hey, thank you for your kindness, first of all, and for sharing that, hey, it's okay to vent. Because I think you're right.
Absolutely.
And that's the part of the show. And part of the reason we put that show on, because we considered not, right?
That's right.
Hey, we're going to release this because we want people to see that life's not always put together and easy.
Yes.
So thank you for that. As far as being lost, I don't think we were lost. I thought of this actually when I saw this question or comment, and I don't mean that as a negative. I appreciate and respect and really did consider whoever wrote this that statement. You seem lost, and it reminds me of the quote by Tolkien: "Not all who wander are lost."
That's good.
We're wandering about looking for, but it doesn't mean we're lost. I don't feel lost. I don't think he feels lost. I know Funtern doesn't feel lost. We're on a journey, and sometimes part of the adventure is finding our way through that forest.
Yeah,
and
man.
the path's sometimes clear, and sometimes it's not. And we need to have freedom within our faith to ask questions and wrestle and, quote, have bad days without immediately thinking something's wrong with our faith. And again, not saying you're saying that, but I think that's a common belief, right? If you share those types of things, if you're not steady, confusion is not of God and all those kinds of things. And I'm like, listen, let's relax and understand that, we're humans.
That's really good,
and to
man.
pretend that we're not confused at times or not searching is silly. That's part of the journey. Seek me with all your heart, soul, and mind. Right? You'll find me. That's pretty cool.
It's really good, man.
So,
because I even think of the idea, I love the fact that you brought up like wandering, right? Like there's a difference between wandering and being lost, and I think that even like seeking, right? I think seeking is honestly another way of even saying wandering, right? Like seek me, right? Like you are in wonder.
Yeah, it doesn't mean wonder that way. It's wandering, meaning those who wander is not WONDER, it's WANDER, meaning do you know what that is?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I meant. So yes, wonder, but wander, maybe that's wonder and wander. Not all those who wander are lost. So yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Seeking's good. Sometimes we wonder because we're seeking someone, not because we're lost.
Like
Good stuff.
That.
Hey, here we go. Your question is, wait, which one did you? Oh yeah.
You started this week. That's right.
You gotta keep moving, man. You know our time crunch here. Everyone else doesn't.
Number one, do you think that those who do kingdom work with the thought of desiring to achieve more in heaven after death will truly gain a higher standing in heaven? Would this mindset done out of greed and pride more than love prevent that? It seems like they are still seeking self-satisfaction after death more than serving out of love like Jesus taught us to do.
Well, do I think those? No, I don't think everyone who does that is doing it out of greed and pride. I think that's the beauty of, so essentially this question revolves around the idea, and this took me a long time to understand. Because I'd heard before, I remember the first time I really wrestled with this, because it just isn't something that bothered me. Someone said, well, it doesn't really matter what I do here. When you quote rest in grace, it doesn't matter what you do here because we all go to the same place. And though that's true, I think that's the beauty of what God is and how just he is that he says, I will save you all if you put your faith in Christ. No, you will not be punished for your actions, but you're still going to be rewarded for your faithfulness and your good deeds in a sense. So do I think there's people out there who should check their heart? And if that's their motivation, then it's sort of like the prosperity gospel, but for the afterlife, kind of like the Egyptians. The Egyptians believed, supposedly, well, I didn't live in ancient Egypt, but supposedly that the reason they buried themselves with all their treasure, and sometimes even spouses killed them and stuff, pets, is because then they would have them in the afterlife. So I don't think that's that everyone who does that is doing it out of greed. Do I think you could be doing it out of greed and then lose the heart? Sure. But I think sometimes it's an encouragement to those who, as Paul says, do not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time, you will reap a reward. And sometimes we need to remember that and to be reminded that our Father's going, hey, I know right now things are hard and it's tough. I mean, imagine being a Christian in a third world country where you're struggling to find food and going, God, why?
Gosh, man.
This is it's not fair, and it isn't.
Mm-hmm.
The earth, it's not fair. And in God's kingdom, when it's fulfilled, is that person could be a king for what they are, but that there's a reward waiting for them. You know?
Right.
And it mattered to Jesus, or he wouldn't have brought it up.
Yes.
Talking about, crowns, or talking about some that he would go, well done, good and faithful servant, come and find them and see the place I've prepared for you. Versus the idea that some will just get in just by the seat of their pants, by his grace alone. So I think it's a beautiful thing that God does that. Do I think this is where it can get deep. Mm-hmm. Yes, that's possible, but I think most true believers mean you have put your faith in Christ, you've been sealed with the Holy Spirit, your mind doesn't even work like that. I mean,
That's good, man, because where my mind led to after, I like that you brought up that point, because where my mind led to is if the ones who do that out of a bad heart, those are the ones that Jesus says, did I not do this? Did I not do that? And he'll just say, I never knew you.
Yeah, exactly. So it is a heart thing. Anyway, and you're right, and Jesus talks about that. So, but just like, you can't throw everyone in that box, though it's a good warning for us. What's our motivation behind what we do in general? Is it to love people or for what we get, whether it's in this life or the next?
Right.
It's good to check our heart.
Oh, that's good.
All right. Then we've answered this one many times. I love that you guys keep asking it. If you miss it, it means you didn't catch other one. It's an important section. So in the Bible, there's a portion in the Gospels where Jesus says, all sins will be forgiven except for blasphemy of the Holy Spirit, essentially. The unforgivable sin. Pretty terrifying.
That's right.
So everybody's like, well, I don't want to do that. So the question is, what is blasphemy of the Holy Spirit?
That is rejecting Christ. That is saying, I choose to not believe that you are the Savior.
Yeah, it's rejecting the gospel. People can. So the Holy Spirit prompts us to respond, right?
That's right.
To the gospel. And I completely agree with you, AJ, but just for those that are listening, what's the difference? Because Jesus said you can talk about the Son of Man himself, and that may be forgiven, but those who reject the Spirit, it's unforgivable. So, it's easy. What did you used to think about Jesus before you became a Christian? Oh, he was a good man, he's a good person.
That's right, yeah.
And that's, in a way, blasphemy, right? You're saying, and that was forgiven. But had you not responded to that call in that moment,
yep,
the only thing that's unforgivable is a rejection of the gospel, is that final prideful rejection of who God is. And that can't be forgiven, because that's what saves us in general. And even that is a choice. It's that willful, rebellious choice. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Good.
And it's heavy.
Yeah. So, hey, there's nothing you can do outside of that is beyond hope. And even that really only happens the moment of death. If you think about it, you have a chance all the way up until you take that last breath to not commit, quote, the unforgivable sin.
Gosh, that's wild, man. God just gives us so many chances.
Amen, man.
Next up we have, was Paul one of the 12?
Meaning one of the 12 apostles. This is a tricky question at first, because he says he's an apostle. But the 12 specifically are the 12 that Jesus himself named and followed him, right?
That's right.
Well, we know that Judas the betrayer, after he died, in Acts we see that the apostles said, we've got to name another one to take his place. So they prayed and they kind of did this lots thing, and put it, and so they chose another. So no, Paul was not one of the 12, but Paul was an apostle with a capital A.
That's right.
Does that make sense? So yes, the 12 is like saying, okay, I don't know. Is he a football player? Yes. Is he a member of the Dallas Cowboys when he's on the Colts? No. So,
right.
Yes, he is. He is an apostle. He was not one of the 12.
That's right. He's not an OG, but he is one of them.
Well, I don't know about that. He wrote most of the New Testament, but yes, I know what you mean. So, which is part of and Paul. That's what I love about the Bible, man. Paul talks about the struggle with that, of how he even says, I even had to go and challenge Peter. And he said, and he gives the indication you kind of get is that was hard for him. And so clearly if he says, I even went to Peter, he's even acknowledging like, man, I had to go to, like, I believe this enough that I went and called out Peter the rock. So yeah, that's the answer.
I love it. What is next, good sir?
I think we're going to move into a few articles here.
Heck yeah, man.
So I don't know if you've taken a few of these or heard about a few of these. Did you read the one about? So we're moving on to our next segment. I suppose I should open this up. Sorry, guys. Real news, real views. Where we take real news of the day, real articles, real things that are happening in this world, and we discuss them from a Christian point of view.
There it is.
Do we speak for all Christians? No.
No, we do not.
But, we're giving our slant, or giving our view, as it were. Of
there
real
it is.
News. So, did you get to read the one about, I don't know if that's her actual name, but this, the porn star who had, it's funny because we had read this story about a year ago. Do you guys remember this? This came out before that she had left and married a pastor.
I remember that story,
Okay.
yes.
Same thing. Now we find out she's, quote, the headline is, returns to porn as a Christian. Quote, as a Christian. Did you read this?
I was unable to, but
Well, I'll catch you up.
yes.
Crystal D. Gregorio. It's an Italian name. I struggle.
Italiano.
Crystal De Gregorio has resurrected her X-rated career on the online subscription service OnlyFans after an unsuccessful stint as a pastor's wife. What an interesting way to say that.
Yeah.
De Gregorio, now 37, previously appeared in 100 pornographic films over some 10 years before giving her life to God in 2014 and marrying Fulton, New York Pentecostal minister Reverend David Bassett in 2015. She and her then husband, who's now 30, both led New Beginnings Christian Life Church. Officials at the church cannot be reached for comment by the Christian Post on Monday, but De Gregorio, who is now divorced and remarried with a newborn, revealed in a recent interview with, quote, Brand New Me, an international YouTube series, that her life in the church was, quote, extremely difficult. This is her, quote, after porn, I did a 180 and became a Christian, and now I just want to be me. Doing OnlyFans as a Christian, I know I'm going to have criticism. People are already telling me that I'm going to hell. But the way I look at it is this. Nobody in this world can send me to hell. Nobody. Only God can, she said. My experience as a pastor was extremely difficult. I have a lot of respect for pastors and stuff they go through. After going through it myself, they judge you by everything. God forbid a pastor has a drink of wine or any alcoholic beverage, anything, because you're definitely going to hell for that. When I was in church, it was girls can't wear pants. You have to wear skirts. You can't wear makeup. You can't dye your hair. You can't cut your hair. God forbid you show any cleavage. You're going to hell for those things, all those things. So I literally went from one extreme to the next, she added. Despite her return to porn, she maintains she is still a Christian, but she doesn't belong to any particular religious group. The way I look at posting adult content is God brought me to this world naked, she said. Posting pictures naked, I don't think this is a huge crime or this is a big sin. Since her divorce from Bassett, her new husband, identified only as Andrew, runs her OnlyFans account. He says, quote, when Crystal mentioned the OnlyFans, at first I didn't take it serious, Andrew said. She just mentioned it. Quick. And when she mentioned it again, I told her, I'm not here to control you. I want you to do what makes you happy. As long as it doesn't break up her marriage, I told her, I support her 100%. My feeling as far as people looking at Crystal's pictures and videos, really anybody can look at those pictures and videos anyway. You just need to Google her. She's all mine, so I'm not worried about that. She has a daughter with a new husband, and she is worried about her daughter later finding out about her lifestyle because she doesn't want her to go down that path. What an interesting thought. She says, I think for me, my life was totally different. I was abused while I was a kid, went through some seriously bad things, so my attention, everything that I needed went into that direction. She's a mother of 4 and noted that while she has returned to the adult industry, what she's doing on OnlyFans isn't as bad as what she did early on in her X-rated career. It's not full-on porn like I was doing before. This is different, she said, noting that she doesn't shoot with anyone else but her husband. That's the end of it. A lot here.
Yeah, man, this is just a insane situation. I think that like you said, I think the most ridiculous line from all that is her saying, well, I don't want my daughters to find out, I don't want my kids to find out and not go down the same path as I did. When you got out of that yourself and then you went back. I don't know, man. It's a
This is a common misnomer here. It's misnamed. It's a common misconception. She kept saying these things, you're not going to hell for these things. And that's what I struggle with when I talk about. Sometimes people think I'm kooky or cultish when I talk about the true gospel. Because there is a true gospel that's different than the popular, I mean it, like what's viewed as. Because the popular one is like, these sins are what sends you to hell. Okay. No, we're headed to hell already.
That's right.
Okay? We are tainted, for lack of a better word. Sorry, the laugh was from an inside joke we've had that you made that statement. So I didn't want them to think it's a laughable topic. But the sinful actions don't send you to hell, because the truth is, even if you were to not, quote, do any outward sinful actions, your heart is sinful by nature, which is why Jesus said things like, listen, you say you commit adultery, he told the religious leaders. You say, or everyone, he told everyone, if you say that if one essentially cheats on his wife, he's committed adultery, right, which death was the penalty. He goes, I tell you, if you've looked at a woman with lust in your heart, you've already committed adultery with her. So his point there was saying, even if you think you control the outside, you don't understand your situation. Your heart is deceitfully wicked on its own and needs to be changed. So though she's correct in the sense that even everything they said, people out there tell her you're going to hell if you wear makeup. And I've seen this. My first Christian girlfriend, many people know I didn't grow up in a Christian home. My first Christian girlfriend post-conversion, I was saved at 17 and dated her for a while. She came from this background, and I've seen the weight it can put on you. She literally wore skirts. I just thought she was stylish because she wore these kind of jean skirts. I was like, a little weird, but she couldn't wear makeup. She did it when she wasn't home and secretly. Couldn't cut her hair. It was all worldly. And there's a lot of weight there, and they make it seem like it's a salvation issue. So she's kind of like mixing these things together. This not what was her name? Crystal?
Yeah, Crystal.
Yeah. So Crystal, so on the one hand, you're right, but those actions do send you to hell without Christ.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Any of those would. Now, here's the thing. Let's not even make it a salvation issue at present. What I would say is, Crystal, do you truly believe that as a disciple of Jesus Christ that you should be doing this? Would Jesus do that? If Jesus says to women, with the way you dress and it matters, or that it don't make that the biggest indicator of your beauty, but let your inward beauty shine. Do you think, if I give drugs, if I just hold drugs out and say, well, if someone drops money in this bucket, they can take this cocaine.
Right.
Am I not a drug dealer? Still?
You certainly are.
And in a way, and I mean this is just my opinion, are you an adultery dealer? They're dropping a coin in the bucket and they get to see these things and you make it easier. And you're right. People, her past, her new husband's like, well, they could look it up anyway. What a terrible way to look at it.
Yeah.
So I think I'm less concerned. Honestly, I'm concerned with her and the hurt and the heart and the brokenness. And it also saddens me because I do believe she was probably shamed and guilted a lot. And it's like, I get it. I'm saved and this is where I'm supposed to be, but I'm not accepted here. So why keep trying? I'll just go back to what I did before. And is it possible that she loves Jesus and is saved? Yeah. And is doing this? It's sinful acts and it's not being obedient, but it is possible. If you don't think it is, then every time, if you're a Christian out there, you've ever looked at pornography, had a slip up in lust, then you weren't a Christian either. Well, Todd, that's different. This is willful. It was will for you to turn that computer on.
Yep.
And it was willful for you to type into that search engine.
Yep.
So I don't know, man. There's a lot here, like you said. It makes me sad. And her testimony certainly is affected by that.
Oh, yeah, majorly.
I would have serious reservations about whether she truly knows Christ.
Yes, me too.
Not so much because she's doing this, but more of like the justification of it, because it's changing, the heart of the Scripture. Does that make sense? I hope.
Yeah, 100%.
But at the same time, Crystal, if you ever run into this, God does love you, and I'm sorry that happened to you, but don't let hateful, quote, Christians or people that twist it push you into a world. You're like, well, at least I'll make some money, and I know I'm accepted there. That was an interesting topic. What do we do now? Well, AJ, you think I should do any more of these articles or just call it a day?
I don't know, man. It's been a good episode. I don't know, man. What are you thinking? How are you feeling? You feeling one more? Or do you think we're going to close up shop here?
Listen, I have one article.
Okay.
Say, but
I'm intrigued.
I'm going to tell you it's politically charged.
Well, you know that's how we roll.
And those of you out there that struggle with, two guys, a show, touching base on hot button topics.
Hot button. We're going to push it.
Have you guys heard any of the information coming from the investigation of the electoral process in Arizona? I'm trying to avoid certain words that may get me.
I've been keeping up here and there.
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting. And I mean this genuinely before anyone jumps on and says, you guys are waging, whatever words they want to come up with. We're not, all we're saying is that there's some irregularities that came out of the election process. And, when you look at the mainstream media, a lot of times, they're going to slant it, right?
Yeah.
And I just think some of the actual results, meaning hard facts, are pretty intriguing.
Absolutely, man. I know you showed me some stuff. I'm like,
listen, I'll give you one little fact to draw in people maybe next week.
I like that. Give them a little preview.
So this is a fact, okay?
Okay.
I'll look at the one maybe it's most interesting. This is from Maricopa County, Arizona. Their forensic investigation of an electoral process. I'm not using the word. Starts with an A because sometimes they'll. Which one's the most intriguing one?
Yeah, I'm
this
curious.
one's good.
Okay.
So as you guys, I don't know if you guys know, President Biden won Arizona, the state itself, by 10,000 votes.
10,000.
That's a very
small margin.
Yeah, man, it's pretty. Which it doesn't make it any less true. It's just interesting.
Sure.
Did you know that the investigation of this, and this is factual, that you guys know that they did mail-in ballots this year, which in and of itself kind of scary, right?
Oh, absolutely. Very easy to take advantage of.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off. So it turns out 9,041 more mail-in ballots were returned than were sent out.
How's that possible?
So meaning mail-in ballots, they sent them to all the households
addresses,
that registered voters.
Yeah.
Nearly 10,000 came
Extra
in
ones.
with votes, meaning someone turned them in.
That's right.
Then were actually sent out.
I have.
Meaning, clearly, either way, and it's not saying which vote was which. I mean, that's intriguing to me.
I have an answer.
Yeah.
Sewers.
Go on.
The people in the sewers.
I think he's being facetious here. I think he's making a point. A couple other weird things. Did you know that over 1 million files related to the election were illegally deleted between 11/1. I don't know what that says. 11/1/20.
Yes.
So November 1st, between November 1st, 2020, and March 16th, 2021. Over 1 million related to it.
Man.
Isn't that
That's
wild?
a lot of files, man.
Yeah. So I just think there's some interesting things, man.
1 million.
Yeah.
What?
There's also, here's a couple more facts. There were
Okay.
15,035 mail-in votes, and this is just in one county,
Yeah.
Maricopa County, who were from voters who had moved prior to the registration deadline. So those were not eligible. Another
Right.
6,591 mail-in came from voters who had moved out of Arizona. Weren't
So
even
they
living
were,
in
yeah,
Arizona.
they were in a whole other state.
Yep, mailed them in. So, just some. I think regardless, in all seriousness, right? In all seriousness.
Yeah.
And all we've been saying from the beginning when all this happened is, and I stick by this, and I mean this. I'm being serious for a second. I mean what I'm about to say. Nonpartisan issue to me, regardless, right?
Absolutely.
We should take, and I would say this no matter who won or didn't win. And I've never came straight out and said who I voted for. Maybe I probably did early on, but Funtern saying, yeah, you did. It doesn't matter. The point is, I believe in the Democratic Republic, but I believe, so if something someone wins fair, they should.
Yeah.
But regardless, we should take, either side of the aisle should take evidence of any sort of irregularity, like damaging irregularity, because you're going to have any, right, in certain elections.
Right.
They have what's called a margin of error to a degree.
Yes. It's very small, right?
Yes, but I mean, when you're talking about 10,000, I've already added. I mean, there's way more.
Yeah, and
We'll talk about it more next episode.
And I'm gonna assume.
And we're just gonna give you guys facts. We're not gonna give you even things that are theories, because I think that's silly, right? You guys are not interested in that. It would be unfair or irresponsible of us to even do that. So what we're gonna just give you is facts.
Okay.
And you make your own
I think that's
conclusions. You know, because and the reason I think it's important to do that is the bottom line is, and we've said this from the beginning, and most people nowadays, I think the vast majority of Americans even know this, is that your mainstream sources of things happening in the country.
Mm-hmm. Current events.
Current events, yeah. News. They are not coming. I mean, you're not getting everything. Like, we all know they're biased to a degree, right?
Yeah,
I mean, and I'm not even saying partisanly. I'm just mean they're biased. They're owned by companies. They make money. They're a business.
That's right.
So
that's a great way to put it. They are.
So anyway,
business.
and it's just hard to find sometimes, and like I think it's interesting to talk about, and I think
I agree.
Next episode we can, Lord willing, we can kind of go into that more and sort of just share our thoughts on stuff in general. I think sometimes we get pigeonholed into something too, where people say, "Well, those guys are." Remember, I think we had someone over the line was like, "We don't like that you put your political views out for everyone." We're like, we're not actually even doing that. We're allowed to talk.
Yeah,
It was an interesting. Listen, the last year and a half has been absolutely strange, odd, and fascinating. So clearly, we're going to talk about
yes, yes.
So anyway, is that too weird? You think? I think it's a good little segue.
Yeah, I think it's.
And by the way, those are facts. What I just shared.
That's right.
Now, again, what you do with that, maybe it means nothing, the numbers and such, but I think it's enough to. That was one county in Arizona. Now, let's say, okay, Todd, that's not enough. Is it worth looking into maybe some of the others?
I think so.
I don't know, possibly.
I think it's worth it.
Especially, all right, one more tidbit here.
All right, I'm in. I love it.
Did you know Maricopa County has been considered, up until this point, a Republican stronghold in every other election, meaning they almost always overwhelmingly... Besides this one. I mean, clearly, a lot of changing dynamics and stuff, but it's just all pretty fascinating. Man.
It is. It's very interesting.
And like, listen, guys, we can't be afraid out there. You know what? We can't be afraid to talk about this stuff just because certain people or... I actually like to think it's a loud minority says you're not allowed to talk about that. People oftentimes from the other side are saying you guys are crazy or
man.
And I don't think that's true. I think facts are facts. You may not like them, but we've got a responsibility, and we should want to look for truth. And I mean truth in general, right? About election processes. Let's say bare minimum. We've learned that. I don't know, man. I mean, are mail-in ballots a good way to vote?
Right, man.
I don't know. I mean, honestly, I know the argument for them. Some people, it helps people vote who can't get out, things like that.
Yeah, man.
And we've always had that. P.S. We've always allowed those kinds of mail-in ballots. People don't realize that. We've always had it.
It's just been an option?
No, yeah. And we've never just randomly, because remember, we got some, and we never asked for them.
That's right. Yeah, it was just literally sent anywhere. And
yeah. I mean, clearly, we all know someone could have easily taken ours and filled them out easily.
Yes.
Sent them in.
As a matter of fact, if I remember correctly,
it happened.
Some people, the place we were living at, I'm pretty sure they just put people's stuff on top of the mailboxes.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they
because
did.
I don't know if
I just remembered that. Weird.
I don't know if it was ours, but
Meaning
I think
the
it was
ballots.
Yes,
yeah.
people.
I remember that.
Yeah, people's mail-in ballots were just sitting on top of the mailbox because either that person's mailbox was full or something, but they just sat on there.
I mean,
yeah, anybody could have taken it and voted.
It's just odd.
Yeah,
it's odd. So I don't know.
Leaving it up to a lot of human error.
Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's not counting the computer issues that we've had. Anyway, good stuff. Interesting. In all seriousness, we're not hiding in the basement with tin foil, hats on. We're not. You know what I mean. We're not trying to be.
Yeah, they're just white.
I think we're allowed to talk about this stuff, and I just thought it was interesting. It'd be cool to dive in, get your guys' thoughts. Have a lot of other cool stuff too to talk about, including some, faith. My hand hurts still.
Oh yeah.
Faith-based things, real news, real views, other articles. I'm trying to pull them up here.
Yeah, you have to fill the pod squad in on how your hand is.
Yeah, my hand hurts, man.
Yeah, dude. I mean, hopefully it's not broken. That's our biggest concern.
Yeah, because we'll find out probably tomorrow for us. For you, probably already happened. For those watching or listening, I'm sure it'll be updated. But would definitely welcome any prayers for those that hear this.
Absolutely.
It heals up quick. It is my dominant hand too,
Which is tough, man. Yeah, hard to write anything, type, all of it.
It is what it is, man. Mm-hmm. We're crazy. Oops. All right, well, this went way better than we thought.
Yeah. It's a good episode, man.
Yeah.
Had fun.
Appreciate you guys. Love you a lot. I know that got a little funny and weird at the end. I don't know why. It's not like we went away for several hours and came back to finish the show.
Yeah, man, I don't know.
We haven't, Anyway, I enjoyed the show. Got a lot of great questions. Have some more coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Stick with us, guys. We're really, really excited about the direction of the show. We really are. And hopefully you're kind of seeing us build up. Don't be afraid to drop in topics that maybe are uncomfortable or risque, even for the church or even politically.
That's right.
You know, we feel like, the kind of the saying around here is in the absence of an answer, people are going to go somewhere.
That's right.
And someone's going to fill that answer in. And so I think that, you deserve, if you're listening, especially if you're a believer, or even if not, deserve to hear another viewpoint of what it is and deserve to hear sort of the Christian viewpoint of this stuff, or at least the viewpoint of three Christian guys in a room.
Listen, we got to fight for our right to party.
No, I'm just kidding. I know, Funtern. We tried, man. We tried. All right, cool.
I actually had some a lot more clever, and I lost it at the very last second. No. Party. Actually, I won't mind me. I'm not gonna lie. At this point, I was like, "We gotta fight for the right," and it was gone. And then you said the party, and I was like, "Yep, that's it."
All right. Well, hey, you got anything else to say, man?
Just thank you guys so much. It's like Todd said. We're kind of reigning in a new era here of real talk, where it's going back to the realest of real.
To the basics. It's a song I made up.
And so. I hope you guys, buckle up, because it's going to be really fun, and, it's going to get real. And, it's kind of like what I was going to say earlier. Like we, in a sense, we are fighting for our right to answer questions right now. And so, whether that's, on specific platforms or not, we're going to try to put those answers out there somewhere. So like he said, don't be afraid to throw something in there that seems a little risque, or, like he said, political. We're going to go for it. So love you guys. Hope you guys have had a good night. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And I love you. And if you're watching from Facebook, hit that share button. Put a like on it. Leave a comment. If you're watching from YouTube, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And hit the notification bell. Why? So you can get a notification of when we upload. And if you're on Rumble, go ahead and join the Rumble Jumble and give us a rumble.
Nice. Funtern, you got anything to add, buddy?
Out there for that pod squad, if you could leave us a review, a 5-star review is greatly appreciated, as well as if you would leave us a comment or something like that. You could tell us that you like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, or even that you like Mountain Dew. Whatever you like, you put it down there. I like Mountain Dew. I like PBJ sandwiches. If you don't like the show and you don't have anything nice to say, do what your mama said. Keep it to yourself. Have a nice day.
Boom.
We love that you came by, but we would really appreciate it if you didn't try to mess up the reviews. Really helps us out on the business end. So great to see you guys. Love you guys. And I'm out of here.
Nice. Nice job, Funtern. That guy's got the voice of a king.
He does, man.
That's it. They said it perfectly well. I mean, clearly you guys know that something happened at the end of the show here. So, it's not.
What do you mean?
It's not that we came back 7 hours later due to things that we had to do, like me going to get an X-ray on my wrist.
What do you mean?
Anyway, regardless, we do hope we love you enough to come back. I'm serious about this, no matter the time, to give you what you deserve and not just make it. Well, certainly make it weird, but not as weird as it could have been. Maybe worse. I don't know.
We'll
but
see.
It was pretty abrupt, so we want to come back and say we love you, appreciate you. Hey, that link is active 24/7, 365 at www.theremnant.life/real-talk. That real is REAL. So www.theremnant.life/real-talk. Click the link, go down to submit a question, follow the instructions, tippity tap, type your answer in, your copy and paste your article, whatever it is. Put it in there, hit submit, and it goes into our database completely anonymous. We couldn't find you if we tried. And remember, those of you that send those topics, those questions, that share your hearts with us and your ponderings, you're part of something cool. And you really are part. We joke a lot, but you're part of like a little family where we kind of talk out life together. And You really are reaching a lot of different people. What are we, 16 different countries now?
16, baby.
16 different countries, 30-some states.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all thanks to you guys being here with us and helping us by asking those questions. So, hey, they all said it. We hope you have a great day, great week, and truly, God bless you.